So in relationships, we wonder why it works out with some people and why it doesn't with others. And so in like Greek mythology, they just had like one race of people, of a human. There was no male and female. And so this race was becoming so powerful that they were trying to overtake the gods. So what the gods did is they split them in half and created male and female. Now they are half as strong as they were. And so they're out there looking for their other half to be complete and whole again. And, right, we often think that science and religion are opposites, but in reality they're both tools to explain the world. And science on one hand is very underdeveloped. We used to think that the world was flat, then it comes to say it's round. We used to say eggs are bad for you, then it's a superfood. All this stuff. Science is evolving. Science is just a tool to explain why we're here, what we're here for, what goes on in our bodies, how this reacts to this, and that's evolving. That's very underdeveloped. And so, religion is a tool to explain the world. And they're both there to sort of achieve a middle ground of what the world really is, and at a much higher elevation, but you have to have faith in that there's something more. And so basically, I believe that there is one person out there for another to make them whole again. It just seems right inside my heart when I look inside. And for you, it may be different. But for me, that's how I feel. That there is a person that I'm supposed to be with. And so what I analogize it to is that there's like a key and a lock. And the key is like the man who's extending out. And a female is sort of like the lock. It's absorbing the key. And so the key goes in there. And you know how some keys, they don't even go into the lock. And that's usually what I analogize to a relationship, that there's no connection there at all, no spark at all. And sometimes the key actually goes into the lock, but it doesn't turn. And that's me analogizing that the relationship, you get involved with certain people, but it doesn't work out. And oftentimes, when we try to make that key work, right, all we do is break the key. It causes us a ton of stress and anxiety. And then there are other times where you get the exact key to that lock, and it just clicks and turns, and it just works. And there's only one key per lock, because there's a lot of grooves there that have to connect. And so the grooves, you could think of them as like thousands of little things in terms of our emotional quirks, that they must match up. And that's often difficult to find in somebody else, where we see, the world sees imperfections in someone. But when you fall in love with somebody, you see their imperfections as being part of their perfection. And they make you better. They make you the person who you want to be. Again, the Greek mythology, making you whole. Because you could talk about being whole by yourself, but if you don't have real love and real connection with somebody, there will always be a part of you missing, striving for that. So you will never be whole until you find somebody. But oftentimes we get involved with people and we want to make it work so bad with them. And this is why the fighting's there and the friction. But it's that key, the key fits in, but it doesn't turn. And all that does, if we try to turn it with that person, is it just breaks. Sometimes you have to jiggle the key a little bit to get it to turn. So sometimes fighting does allow it to work, but not if the value systems are different. If those grooves don't align in terms of you being able to respect what the other person values, those thousands of emotional quirks, those thousands of emotional grooves, those grooves in the key, those need to align. And if they don't, then that's where you're going to have major problems. Sometimes the lock and the key don't fit. It needs to come out, and that doesn't mean that it's never going to fit. It can at another time. But you need to pull out the key. Completely remove yourself from it. And the grooves need to sort themselves out and align by working on themselves, right? So a man and woman need to work on themselves in order to and evolve and change by taking a break, and then maybe they can revisit it. It doesn't mean that key and lock aren't meant for each other, but maybe it just needs to be brought to a locksmith, theoretically, and it needs to be sharpened. And that's what it is. Working on yourself is the sharpening. But sometimes you got to remove yourself. You need to remove yourself in order to gain access to that, because you're so stuck in this. And the reason why that's my philosophy is because when you ask people who are married together for a long time, and it's like, how did you know that this is the one? They usually always respond, I just knew. I just knew in my heart. And then many people who you talk to who are divorced, they said, I just had this intuition the entire time that I knew it wasn't right, but I did it anyway. I was stupid. Why is that? So you have something in your intuition that you know you feel it in your body that this isn't right. Like there's the connection there, so the key fits in. But it's not the deep connection where the understanding is there in terms of the respect for one another's values, even if they aren't exactly identical, that you just feel comfortable and that you just know in your heart that this is right. And if the key sometimes fits in, but it doesn't turn, well, you have it in your intuition that this isn't working out, but I'm fighting. I'm just fighting for it because I'm scared, because this is convenient and I don't want to pull it out and try to look for the lock again. But I believe that there is someone out there for you if you've gone through heartbreak. It didn't work out for a reason. I truly believe in that. And so we like to think that we either believe in fate or we believe in free will. And there's no mistakes. There's no accidents. Everything happens for a reason, right? On one end of the spectrum in terms of fate, or everything happens because we chose to do that. And what if it's in between? I think Forrest Gump mentions this, that what if it's somewhere floating in between? That we have free will with a lot of things, but maybe there's some destiny carved out. Why do we act differently than everybody else? We all have a calling. Why are we attracted to certain things that other people aren't? I believe that there is free will in your choice to make certain decisions, but you're also being guided down a path for whatever reason. That's why a lot of things, like horrific things, happen, and then sometimes it just seems to click. Like, oh, that's why that happened. What is that? I do think that God helps those who want to help themselves, though, who want to believe that there's more free will than fate, that my life is just supposed to be how it is. Or if I want to achieve something, I'm going to work for it. I think that God respects that, and He will reward you. You're being a better person. You want more out of yourself. You want to change. So I'll extend you halfway. This is all theory. This is my theory based on my experience. You may experience different things. You may understand the world differently. And that's okay. But the more thoughts you put in to your mind, the better you will be. Try to have an open mind. You're not going to adopt a certain philosophy in one conversation. Your brain is like a government. It's slow to change. The more thoughts you can put into your mind, the better off you will be. So just keep an open mind and understand these things. They will help you grow into the person you want to be.